folks, to the Common Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to review the Marvel Halloween special, Werewolf by Night. Now, this thing I have been excited for, along with a lot of other people, for quite some time. The moment they came out with the trailer, because we had heard rumors about this. You gotta understand, this thing wasn't even confirmed until the trailer came out. Like, there was no real whispers about this. Like, no, there was. Like, there was talk, like, but it happened so long ago. Like, it happened, like, almost, like, half a year ago, where the information came out of Marvel doing this, working on Werewolf by Night, and then it being, like, a special. Like, we were confused about that, and I was like, what the fuck do they mean, a special? Like, are you doing a Werewolf by Night show? A special? Like, what the fuck, what do you mean? And then, like I say, and then the trailer came out, and we were like, what the actual F? It was the best thing at D23, in my opinion. I remember being like, dude, and it's in black and white, and they have this old school 1940s Wolfman vibe, and like the old Universal Monsters feel to it, with the theme and the way it's shot, and the camera with the oh man, with the smoke, the cigarette burn effects and stuff, like look, it was old school. And I thought it was amazing, and I was like, oh god, this is gonna be great. And then you hear that it's gonna be an hour-long little special that, like, and you're like, okay, I wonder how this is gonna go. Reviews came out and they were loving it, and they were like, oh man, this is this, and I was excited. I was very, very excited for this. And I gotta say, people, it did not disappoint me. I'll tell you, this was so good that it almost started to change my opinion on certain things. Because for a while, I did say, because even though I know some people weren't the biggest fans of a Hawkeye or certain other shows, I always said that all the MCU shows, in my opinion, they all accomplished the main goal they meant to accomplish. Now certain things they didn't get right. I agree, some of these shows should be longer, but they all got across the key core thing they wanted to get across. And I will tell you, watching this, I was like, you know, maybe some of these MCU shows could have been shorter. Because I'm thinking like a Hawkeye, maybe Hawkeye could have been just like a 2-hour special. You know what I mean? Like an hour and 30-minute special. Like an hour and 40-minute special. Like, yeah, maybe Hawkeye could have just been an hour and 40-minute special. Like an hour and 40-minute movie that was on Disney Plus. Because I'm sitting there thinking, because I'm watching this, and since it's only about 55 minutes, it really was written sharply. Like, things move, and not in a way where it's like, sometimes things move too fast. I can't remember, I saw one movie not too long ago where I was complaining about that, where I was like, things are moving too fucking fast, there's no time to do anything. Doctor Strange is a little bit like that. Multiverse of Madness. I enjoyed the fuck out of Multiverse of Madness, by the way. I had a great time with the movie, but it was moving at a brisk pace because it didn't have enough time. It needed more time. I think same thing with Thor, Love and Thunder. It needed more time. Whereas this was moving at a brisk pace, but it was written. Like, that's the thing. I think that's the difference between this and like a movie that's moving too fast. Is Doctor Strange and Thor felt like movies that were probably longer, but got cut down. So that's why I felt like they were moving so fast, because it felt like it was supposed to be longer. Both of those films. Whereas this was written to be short, concise, and to the point. It was written to be this way. So it moves, introduces the main character, introduces the concepts, there is no wasted motion in this show, in this special, because there's a lot they need to get to in 55 minutes. But since it's written to be in 55 minutes, it works. And overall, acting was great. Love the guy who named Jack, who we obviously know is the Werewolf by Night. Loved him. He was great. Elsa Bloodstone, great. Love seeing Elsa. If you're a Marvel fan, you know Elsa Bloodstone is a big deal. And like, okay, big deal in, you know, a comic book world is like, it's really tough. It's like, I'd say she's like on the same, like, in terms of deal, she's like as big of a deal as like Etrigan is in DC, where it's like, if you are a DC fan, you know who Etrigan is, But, you know, if you don't know who Etrigan is, it's not like you're gonna be like, oh my god. It's like, that's about where Elsa is. She is pretty much the premier monster hunter. She is the supernatural monster hunter. Like I said, she's pretty much the premier supernatural monster hunter. She's the, think the Winchesters from Supernatural meets Lara Croft. That's what you would get, because she's got a lot of money. She comes from a huge lineage of monster hunters. She's got this big ass mansion and manor and whatnot, but she's this badass monster hunter with like insane skills, agility, all the works. And they really did a good job of putting over her as a badass, because she is a badass in the comics. So it's great to see her here. And it was amazing to see the Man-Thing. It's not the first time we saw Man-Thing in the MCU. As some of you may remember, Man-Thing actually showed up on the wall on the tower of the Grand Master in Thor Ragnarok. He was one of the statues on there. Him and Beta Ray Bill. Though, you know, you could argue, well, there's a lot of conversation to be had. You know, one day they'll do something with Man-Thing, and like it'll be mentioned that, yo, what happened that time you like got teleported to space? Like, that shit was crazy. Remember I had to go rescue you? But yeah, that like Man-Thing is great, by the way. He's got this weird ass combination. You know what he's like? He's like Groot meets King Shark, if that makes any sense. He's Groot meets King Shark. He's Groot because when he is calm and cool, he seems like the most adorable, chill, relaxed thing, like swamp creature you've ever seen. Like he's like calm, cool, relaxed, you know, pretty chill creature. You know, I mean, like, okay, you know, you feel like as long as you're not fucking with him, there's no danger. But when he is enraged, when he is like doing his thing, when he touches someone and they just melt and they're screaming and as their bodies melt, it's like, oh God. Well, okay. But I digress. Anywho, this thing is violent. It is violent. It is bloody. I mean, there are some things done in this that I was shocked. I was shocked that the MCU could get away with that. And it's still a PG-13 show. Like, I was surprised. And like, I mean, it is gory. I mean, a dude gets a fucking sword in the head. I mean, I see how a dude gets his throat ripped. I mean, guy gets his arm chopped off, arrow in the neck. I mean, it is violent, dude. Violent. It is bloody and it is violent. And like, it's like it catches you off guard. But how they manage to get around that is with the black and white. Now, I keep trying to tell people, like, the MCU ain't in any rush to jump into doing straight up R-rated stuff. You know, they're in no rush to do that. And that, like, the way they got around it this time was by having it in black and white. Though I will say, we may have gotten a teaser to what vampires will look like in the MCU. I've always thought, because most of the time in the comics, vampires don't look like human beings in the Marvel Universe. Most of the time, they look like these shadow creatures, or they look like creatures. They don't look humanoid, so to speak. They don't look humanoid, at least. And the only vampires that look humanoid are like really powerful vampires, like really powerful ones. Most of them don't look humanoid. And I've always thought, like, that's how the MCU is going to get around some of the, more R-rated aspects of the original Blade, of doing their version of Blade, is the fact that they're not going to have their vampires be humanoid, like, be actual people. They're going to be like these creatures, these monstrous creatures. So that way, when Blade kills them, and, you know, they turn to dust and shit, they can kind of circumvent it with them turning him into dust. And there are ways for them to shoot him. Now that you've seen that how much they can do and how much they can get away with just simply making it black and white, now you think like, oh, there are ways for them to get away with something. Like they could just simply have vampire. Now you can see them. Maybe their vampire sequences are in a different shade. When the vampire's tearing into someone and blood's going all over the place, maybe they can just change the shading or something. But this does open up the door to them being able to be more violent with Blade. They'll just have to be clever with how they go about showing said violence. But I do think this does open that door, this show. anyways, it's great. It's a great special, and honestly, I think, like, I had heard a report that they were thinking about turning a few other things into specials with the success of this one. Now, I'm not sure about that, depending on which one they're talking about. Depending on the project they're talking about, I'm not sure. But I will say this. I will say this for a fact. I wouldn't be against it. I might have been against it before, but after actually seeing it and seeing how well they were able to get across all the things, I don't want to get into it, it's spoilery, so I'm not going to get into what happens, but how they get across the story, introduce the main characters, which are really 3, because the other characters are just there to serve them. And like, I think like this, like these could be really good one shots, because some of the shows, I've said it before, some of the shows, especially particularly Hawkeye, and even Falcon and Winter Soldier to a certain extent. I guess Ms. Marvel if you want to be technical. But most of the shows are only here to introduce a new character to the MCU and set something up that will be relevant later down the line. And this does open up a door for them to be able to be like, do we need an entire series to introduce this character, or can we show this character and get everything across about this character in this one special? And I do think that Hawkeye probably would have been better served as, I think Hawkeye would have needed a little bit more time than 55 minutes. It would have needed like, maybe like an hour, maybe like a straight hour and like 30 minutes. But I do think something like a Hawkeye, even though I enjoyed the fuck out of Hawkeye, but even things I enjoy, I could kind of look at it from, like even like Eternals. I enjoyed Eternals, but I even thought maybe Eternals could have been better done as maybe a 9 episode series. Perhaps. That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe Eternals could have been better done as like a 9 episode series or something like that. So even though I enjoyed it, I can see a better way to do it. And even though I thought I had a great time with Hawkeye, and I didn't mind the extra stuff, learning all this extra stuff, it was clear that the Hawkeye show was only there for 2 reasons. And those 3 if you count the Echo stuff. But it was there for 3 reasons, and they could have gotten all 3 of those things across in a hour and 20 minute movie, or an hour and 20 minute special. They could have got all that across and just truncated the entire thing. Had it all happen in one freaking night. Just boom, just like that. They could have. And watching this gives me hope that maybe this opens up a new avenue for Marvel in terms of directions and ways you can tell stories. I loved it from top to bottom. The production was great. The score was great. I mean, how many fucking directors get to direct and do the score for their own fucking project? That doesn't happen, people. I'm just telling you right now. I can only think of like maybe one other. That doesn't really happen. It doesn't. No one gets to direct and then do the score for their thing, and then have the directing be great and the score be great. I mean, that's just baller. Michael, I think it's Giacchino. Like he's been with Marvel for years. He's done a ton of scores. Hell, he did the Marvel intro score. He's the one who made that one. The dun 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 dun. He did that. That's Michael. So I'm excited, dude. I hope they get that guy to do more stuff. Anyways, I give this a 10 out of 10. This is the best. This is one of the best things the MCU has produced to date. Anyways, thank you guys for the Comic Guy Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.